If you've got questions as we go through the presentation, please type those in and they'll pop up on my screen, and I'll be able to see those questions and I'll attempt to answer them during the presentation. So if you've got a question, please ask it during the presentation and I'll attempt to answer that as we go through. There will be an opportunity to answer at the end, so the aim is to have a presentation of about 20 minutes or so, running through watch lists and introduction to those, and then what we'll do is we'll have a look at we'll take a look at a question and answer, so we'll go off to wherever it chooses. So initially we're going to be focusing on the watch lists, and then from there we'll move off into whatever topics you want answered around the program. So just to underway, Jenny asked a question right up front, and I'll just introduce a few things about some of the saved charts are missing Fibonacci and trend lines. Should I run the upgrade tool again? And yes, if you've got information that hasn't been pulled across, then certainly do that. To run your upgrade tool, go into Start, All Programs, and you're looking for D2MX. There's D2MX, and there's the upgrade tool, and you can run that from in here. Now you'll need to close your program, the Market Analyzer 7, before you run the upgrade tool. So make sure that the program's closed, and then just click yes and run through the process. Passwords are case sensitive, so make sure you get the passwords the right way around. The other thing, we've been working obviously on some upgrades, and many of you, when you're logging in, you may get a message that Java is out of date. We're aware that this is coming up, and that problem will be resolved early next week, we're hoping. And there's been an upgrade to Java, and it's throwing up some flags or that message when you log into the program. The other one that's happening is you may be getting a message when you log in that says Iris is taking too long to start. Now if you get this message, it's taking too long to start, and it may not, and it opens up a help window to show you what's actually happening during that process. If that comes up, we're again working to resolve that so that that window doesn't appear every time you log in. It doesn't happen for everyone, and it will just simply depend on the speed of loading the program whether that window comes up or not. A couple of other things that we're working on. One of the little tricks we'll show you tonight, which is related to watch lists, is we've got an easier way to get through your watch lists, particularly when you're getting large lists available, a number of different watch lists. We'll show you how a new development that will be out early next week, and we're testing at the moment, how that works in here. And I've got it on my machine tonight, but you won't have that particular facility on your machine as yet. But early next week we should be able to get that one up and running. And the other thing to be aware of during the launch program, what we're doing is we've actually got the customer care team available both Tuesday night and Wednesday night until 9 p.m. So if you get home from work and you're playing around with the program, then you can get hold of someone if you get stuck or have any queries right up until 9 p.m. That's Tuesday night and Wednesday night. The support hours are extended and through until 9 p.m. And you can contact them on 1300 363 766. So they'll be there, someone will be there to help you out with any problems that you may be having. Other good news, Monday we're turning on the trading tools. So if you have a trader-dealer account, as of Monday you will be able to trade out of the platform. Up to this point that hasn't been activated, but from Monday you will be able to trade directly from the platform. If you haven't set that up, then what we want to do is bring up customer care tomorrow, and they'll run through the process of getting your trader-dealer account linked to the program, so that MA7, when it's turned on, will actually be able to talk through to trader-dealer, which is a great innovation, and it's great to be able to get to that point where that's all now working. The late support hours are for the whole of April, so Tuesday, Wednesday, right through April you'll be able to get hold of support through to 9 PM on the Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So a few public announcements before we get underway, and we'll take a look tonight at watch lists. Now watch lists are really the hub of the new IRIS platform and where everything's sort of accessed from. In these watch lists you can have a range of different securities or shares, and from this you can then, by right-clicking, get a lot of information about any of those companies. And so you can go into the depth, the course of sales, charting, reports, options, and trade directly from your watch lists here. But we'll take a look at the basics of the watch list tonight, and you see they're broken up into a system watch list, a user watch list, and a quote screen. We'll also have a quick look at market activity. That's more information than a watch list as such. But our system watch lists first, these are preloaded watch lists. So what happens with these is we've loaded them in, and the companies that are in those watch lists are set by the system. And we've set up some of the common ones that people want to see: the ASX 20, the ASX 50, the ASX 100, and the ASX 200 companies. These watch lists are all available and populated with those companies. So click on the top 20, you've got the top 20 companies. Top 50, and the list extends. We can drag it down, and we've now got 50 companies in that list. And going out, we can go out to the ASX 200, and we've now got 200 in the list. So all the top ones. And the beauty of this is, as the composition of the ASX 200 changes, then what we can do is these will automatically be upgraded. So you don't have to go and change your list that you've created if there's a change in the top 200. These watch lists will be automatically adjusted for that. The All Ordinaries is about 330 or so companies, and again a number of different companies in here, and you can scroll through them as you choose. The ASX indices gives us all of the GICS, or the Global Industry Classification Indices. So you can look here at sectors and what's happening to specific sectors at any time. Now there's a wide range of different sectors available, and we've got the ASX 20, the ASX 50, ASX 100 indices, but we can also see what's going on in the gold sector. We can have a look at the discretionary, the energy, financials, healthcare, info, materials, industrial. These are your GICS classifications, and the codes 1040, etc. associate with those codes. We've got the real estate trusts, we've got the staples, telecoms, utilities, and a range of other information for the different indices that are available. And all of these can be charted just as you could chart anything else within the Market Analyzer program. Right click, and let's have a look at what happened in the energy sector today. And we're on daily charts. So today energy sector was lower. You can follow the indices in this way. The other one we have in here is international markets. Now I know many of you follow what's going on in the world, and getting an overview of what's happening has an influence on what's happening in Australia. So here we get all the common indices from around the world, such as the Japanese market, the Shanghai, so the Chinese market, Hong Kong. We've got CAC 40, which is in France, just here, the FTSE, which is in London, the Dow Jones, NASDAQ, and S&P 500, which are in the US. We also have some of the other things that are worth keeping an eye on and can assist your trading, including the price of gold, and the LIBOR, which is the interest rates in the UK. KOSPI is a Korean index, and then down through here we've got the currencies. So the currencies, some of the common spot cross rates: Australian US, New Zealand Australia, Great British Pound Aussie, Euro US, and US dollar Japanese yen. So you can keep an eye on the currencies as well as the major indices and what's happening around the world. And all of these are set up and ready and waiting. So all you do is click on the button to see the particular group of companies that you're interested in. Now moving on from that, we have our user watch lists, and we can create our own watch lists, and as many as we choose in here. So we can set up a number of different watch lists with different things in them. There's a few ways we can do that. You can add each code one by one to a new watch list. And to do that, we click on quote and we'll clear it, and we've now got a clear watch list. So you clear the watch list out, we'll enter the first code, FGE, and as you type it in, it will automatically bring up the options here. Now you can click on Forge, or you can click on the arrow to push into the actual platform. So either way, clicking on the drop down as it finds the company, or click the arrow to push it across. Might be another company you're interested in, so again click the arrow and across it goes. And we could keep typing in companies that we're interested in until we get our own watch list. If there's a company you don't know the code of, well, that's where the Navigator comes in. So click on the Navigator and type in the name of the company. So let's say there's a company that you're trying to find and you can't remember what the code is, Monodelphis for example. We type in that, and we could type in MON. We don't have to type the whole name, particularly if you can't spell it. Click on MON and Monodelphis group. MND is the code. Now click on that, click OK, and it's automatically added into our watch list. So just running through that again with the Navigator, we type in the name of the company that we're looking for. If it's a code that we're not sure on, click search, and Hot Rocks Limited comes up, and tell it OK. Clicking on it, tell it OK, and it pops it into the watch list. So here we are creating our own watch list, just simply by typing in the codes and adding the codes that we want. Once we've got the watch list created, then we can click Save or Save As to save this watch list and keep it there for future reference. So we click on Save and we'll call it My Watch List and tell it OK. Now we've created my watch list. If we click on User Watch List, that will now appear in the list. So my watch list now appears along with the other watch lists that I've already created. Now clicking on Quote, we started there with a clear watch list, but rather than starting from clear, what we could do is take, say, the top 20 companies, and we can either add to this or subtract from it as we choose. So if I wanted to add in the XJO, which is the ASX 200 indices, I type in XJO, click the arrow twice to push it across, and there's XJO, now the top 200 in here with this. And maybe I don't want the XTL, the top 20, so I right click on the company I don't want and left click delete. And so now that's gone from the watch list. And perhaps I'm only really interested in watching the banks or the financials. So we'll leave AMP in as a financial, but I don't want to watch BHP in this list, so I'll delete that. Carry on down, don't want Brambles, delete. So right click to delete, right click, delete CSL, leave Macquarie, NAB, get rid of Newcrest, Origin, QBE we'll leave in, get rid of Rio, Santos we'll get rid of, keep Suncorp, remove Telstra, Westpac, and get rid of Wesfarmers and Westfield, and Woolworths and Woodside. So now what I've created is my new watch list of the major financial companies. So again, I can save this. I started with the top 20, but I've then edited the list to set it up as I want it, and save it as, and the name of this one I'll call financials, or let's say big financials, and tell it OK. And I go into my user watch list, and I have a watch list now, the big financial companies. So I can use any watch list of a new watch list, and I can edit and change that watch list as I choose. Or I can start from scratch and build it up one by one. Now, I said there was one of these developments that we've come out with that may help navigating through the watch lists. And if you see here, we've got a number of watch lists set up. And if I close the window up a bit, I can't actually see the bottom in the list. Now on your screen, you won't have the slider bar that appears on the right. So at the moment, the slider bar here is the new tool we're testing, which allows me to scroll down through the watch lists. So then if I've got 20 or 30 watch lists, I can quite happily scroll up and down through those to find the one that I'm interested in. At this stage, it's not possible to reorder the watch list, and your screen will look like this. It won't have a slider bar on it as yet. But what we'll look at is we'll actually, in the early next week, you'll get that slider bar being able to move up through there. Question from Mike. I'd like to leave intraday chart up and displayed, but nothing updates until I recreate the chart or got the chart properties. Should it dynamically update? If not, what's the easiest way to refresh? It certainly should update. I think that's all. What is there a specific code, or is this on any, like, is it the XJO that you're watching on an intraday, or is it specific shares? Because dynamically, the shares should certainly update. At the moment, there's a problem with the FX markets. There is a bug in those on the XJO 5 minutes. Okay, we'll have a look at that one. There is a bug with some of the indices side of things, the FX particularly, and in the actual shares themselves, there should be no problem with that. So we'll have a look at the XJO and see what's going on there. But it certainly should be dynamic. It should update automatically, and you shouldn't have to refresh it. Question from Richard there. We'll get the comments column back. At this stage, there's no comments column in. You can add and subtract columns from the watch list, but there is no comments column at this stage in the platform. It's something that we're aware of, and we're working on for one of the future releases. So we're looking to add that back in, but at this stage we're still working on that area. A question from Graham: how to add the existing watch lists. So if you've got existing watch lists that are in Market Analyzer Pro or Market Analyzer 6, the earlier versions, you can bring those across using the upgrade tool. So the upgrade tool will automatically bring your watch lists across from the previous one. So what we can do there, I'll just run through again briefly the watch upgrade tool. We go from start to all programs, and then you're looking for D2MX in your programs list, and in the D2MX the upgrade tool, and the upgrade tool is what will bring across the saved charts. It will also bring across templates and watch lists from your previous version. So if you want to bring an existing watch list across from your previous program, then the upgrade tool does that. Question from Jenny, can we have two watch lists up at the same time? Yes, you can do that. So you can have multiple watch lists up. If you go up to pricing, quote, then we essentially bring up the second watch list there, and I can be looking at, say, a system watch list, the international markets here, at the same time that I'm looking at one of my own watch lists, say in my top 20. So I can see my top 20 and I can see this here. Okay, so Graham's question, so you can, Jenny, you can definitely have two watch lists up at the same time. Go to pricing, quote, and that gets the second watch list open. And you can then have looking at different things within that watch list. So you can display different things at any time. The other one, where are we? Sorry, Graham, I obviously misinterpreted your question. The adding in the new watch list, you essentially create the watch list that you want in here. So the Big Financials watch list was one I created from editing down one of the original watch lists. And in order to keep it, I simply save it in here. So save as whatever that watch list is and then give it a name. So what I do is create the watch list, but to keep the watch list I then save it, and by saving it, it becomes one of my user watch lists that I have created in here. So does that clarify it, Graham? Hopefully. Okay. Just come back to me if there's further questions on that. So we can add in particular codes to the watch list, any watch list at all. So let's say I'm going to go in and I open up my today's movers and I want to add another company into that. I can add it by code as before. We'll add in, let's say Telstra had a miracle and actually did something for a day, and we'll push it across. Push the black button twice to push it into the watch list, and that pushes it across into here and that. So if you want to add another stock to the Big Financials, that's more or less what we're doing. We'll click on Save, and now my watch list, today's move, has another one. If I go back, we'll get Big Financials up, click on that, and again, adding another code in there. If I wanted to add in Bendigo Bank, for example, type in BEN, and again, click the button twice to push it across, and now Bendigo and Adelaide Bank has been added to the Big Financials list. When you click Save, that will keep it in that watch list. So save, and we go back to my user watch list. Big Financials will now have Bendigo in there. Add two Big Financials. Okay, I misread your question, Graham, so that makes more sense. So you can add to any watch list just by clicking on the watch list, going to quote, and then adding in whatever it is that you want to add to that particular one. So again, adding to Big Financials, let's put in the financial sector. So we go in, and XFJ is the financial sector, and it will come up here. I can click on that, and now XFJ is part of the watch list also. And again, save to keep that as the current watch list. So your quote screen in here allows you to add in any code, and to remove a code, there's a company that you don't want to follow, say A&P, I don't want it in there, right click and delete. And when you've got your watch list looking as you want it, simply click on save, and that will keep it as a user-defined watch list. You can have as many watch lists as you choose, so there's no limits on this. And with this new scroll feature, which you'll be seeing early next week, you can then scroll up and down through the lists you're interested in. The other one that you've got under the watch list tab is market activity, which is really one of the analysis tools, allowing you to take a look at the market and what's happening in the market for today as well. So under the ASX, we're going to take a look at the entire market, or we could look at, say, the small cap stocks and look at the biggest movers by percentage. So the biggest up percentage today, and we've got some big moves, 44%. You'll find some of these are pretty small companies and doing very low volumes, 2,000 shares. So not always great trades, but you can see what the movers are in the market. Though some of them are a bit more interesting. If they're doing $2.5 million and doing a big move, maybe something's actually happening within the company. You can also look at down, or you can look at up by dollar terms rather than percentage. Look at the largest traded by value, and the biggest trading in the small cap today was in Platinum Australia, 64 million shares, which is quite a bit going through it. And Lonhro Mining, again, 168 million shares. So a fair bit going through those by value today. We of course look at the large cap, and you'll have the usual suspects. By value, BHP, Rio, CBA, pretty much at the top of the list today. And by volume, bigger volumes in companies like Beach Petroleum and Telstra. Now, one of the nice tricks of the watch lists is, let's say you were looking at the small cap or let's say medium cap, the medium cap companies, and you're looking for the companies that had a big move today. And these are companies you want to follow to see what happens next. So obviously the moves happen, but is it going to carry on, or was that it for today? So what I can do now that I've got this list up, I can turn that into a watch list. Click on quote, click on save as, and these are my medium cap movers. Click OK, and I now have a user watch list, medium cap movers. And over the next week or so, I can follow these companies through and watch how these companies perform. So I can create watch lists out of any of the lists that I've created within the program. So within any other watch list can very easily be turned into a user watch list where I can store information. And that way I can follow those companies. Now, a useful little trick which is worth mentioning while we're here is that in order to scroll through this watch list, I want to link it through to the chart. So if I right click on the chart and I then want to select the watch list. So I select the watch list that I want to add to the chart, and I want to have a look through the medium cap movers. So this way I'm able to scroll through the medium cap movers watch list. So I click on that, and now when I click the next code in the watch list, I move through the list. So RVA is the top of the list up here, and there's the move in RVA today. Click the next code, and there's the move in MAD. Next one, OMH. There's one in STX. There's one in MEO, and so on. So there's some interesting looking shares amongst those. Not all of them, but certainly some interesting looking ones in there that have been trending up quite nicely for a period of time. If I want to go back, take a closer look at another one, then I can do that. That's a nice move up over about a month and a half through there. And going back, seen a nice move up in MAD as well over the last 2 to 3 months. So I can very easily move through the watch list, but the trick is to be able to do this, right click and then select the watch list first. And today's mover, let's look at, say, my top 20, change the watch list, then I scroll through and I'm looking at a different watch list now, my top 20 watch list, and scrolling through that list. So the watch lists are directly linked to MX charts, and you simply right click to make that link happen. The other thing you could do from here is you can actually add a company of interest to another watch list. Right click, add to watch list, and let's say I was going back to XTL, not so interested. Let's say AMP, I can right click and add it to another watch list. So I could add it to, let's say, today's movers, and click on that. And if I go to today's move, I'll find somewhere in there that AMP has been added to that watch list. Now, one last thing we'll take a look at with watch lists just before we open up for questions is that the order of these columns is not fixed. You can actually change the order of the columns if you choose. So it's just a matter of dragging the columns around. So if I wanted the description over here, I can do that. If I want to turn a column off, I can right click and hide it. I can move the plus or minus over here, and again right click and hide the description. I don't necessarily want to see it, and so I can then customize it to the layout that I want. I've been playing around with it, so we've got plus or minus today, the bid and ask, and you open that last high and low. But maybe I don't want to see bid and ask, so again I can turn those off so that I can just look at what it is that I'm interested in, and I can control the columns in this way. I can also sort on anything in the watch list with a click on the top. So if I click on the open, it gives me the highest price, $35.70 in Woodside, $21.90 in Flight Centre. Click it again and I get the lowest price, 64 cents in GRR, 70 cents in GFF. You can do that for the last traded price. You can do it obviously by name, so I can sort alphabetically. You can do it by the volume traded today and look at what's doing low volumes and where the high volumes are happening. So within the watch list, I can very easily rearrange the information to find out what's going on. What's the biggest mover for the day? Well, on the downside, IVA and MML haven't had such a good day in this watch list. And on the upside, CPL and AIX have done reasonably well. I see CPL and go, what company is that? Right click and I can show the name, wherever it was, show description, and it's Coalspur Mines. So that's CPL, had a reasonable day, up to 2.3%. So just a quick recap on the watch list side of things. Your system watch lists here are preloaded watch lists, which will be adjusted and updated as the information changes. So if the top 20 or top 50 or top 100 shares change when the S&P review the indices makeup, then these will be updated automatically. Your indices for Australia are in here, which shows you what's happening in different markets, and in your international markets are also available, so you can see what's happening around the world. So in the evening, this evening in the FTSE, we're down around 1% at this stage. It was probably yesterday at this stage. Just, well, it'll be opening shortly. It'll be from yesterday. From there, we've got our user watch lists, and we've got a range of user watch lists that we can create, and we can create those using the quote screen. To add in a code to any list, I simply type in the code, the XJO, and then click the button here to push it into the list. The XJO will then appear in the list. I can then save the watch list to keep that information and give it a name. And I can call it My International and tell it OK. So that way you can pull it across. A question from Jenny, does the watch list have a column to show today's movement in dollars values and percentage values? I know it shows from previous day's close, but MA Pro had both. At this stage, no, it doesn't. It only shows from the previous close. We don't have the option to show from today's open, whether it's up or down. But in saying that, if you've got your platform open from the start, you've got the trend here, and the trend gives an indication of whether it's higher or lower from open today. So the trend will give you an indication of what's happening, but if you want the numbers aren't available in the formatting of it at the moment. But the trend will give you an indication of whether the share is moving higher or lower today, because if BHP gaps down 1% and then climbs all day, it's going to show red still throughout the day, whereas the trend will show that it's starting out and that it is then climbing up from there. So keep an eye on the trend for an indication of what the share is doing during the day. So your watch list can be created from blank by clicking on clear and starting with a clear list and then adding in the codes. Use the Navigator to find your way through, and if there's a share that you don't know, a company you don't know the name of, and you want to find out a bit more about it, then you type in the code or the start of it, and we get up 10 network, TEN's a nice easy one, but essentially pull it across into here. So we use the Navigator to find a code of the company, if we know the name, and on the other side we can just type in the code to type. So SVW 7 Group Holdings, 7 SVWPA, that's the preference shares, and just pop that in here. Again, using the arrow to push it across or clicking on the code when it appears. Saving that as a watch list will create a new watch list. But if we want to add to our existing watch lists, click on the watch list, click on quote and SVW. We can add that to the group, add it to the list, and then click save to keep that as a new list. So that's sort of a quick rundown on the watch lists and how they work. We will be going into some advanced features of the watch lists in the next presentation, looking at the import-export facility and also looking at how you can bring information in from the other things like the Analyser and the scans there, how we can import that information, the results, into a watch list, and also how we can drill down into the market map and bring a sector across into the actual watch list as well. So we can bring in the shares that make up a GIC sector, we'll put those in a watch list. So the advanced section will be taking a look at some of those little tricks that we can do with the watch list. Are there any other questions around what we've talked about this evening or any other aspects of the new program? Are you saying the watch list does not give the current price or the rise above yesterday's close? So certainly the current price is in the watch list. The plus and minus and the percentage are based on yesterday's close. So where we've got 7 group holdings up, where are we, 3 cents today, that's based on from yesterday's close, not necessarily from today's open. And it's up 0.3%. The import-export function I'll cover in the next webinar on the watch list at an advanced level, but what it allows you to do is bring information in and out of Excel, and that's what it's for there. End of daylight saving this weekend. It certainly is, so you get an extra hour's sleep on Sunday morning, which is always a good thing. I'm looking forward to that, it's for sure. And so the next webinar will be on, where are we, Tuesday next week, and we'll be running through some of those more advanced features of the watch list. There's also, these webinars are being recorded and will be available on the web, so if you can't make the specific time, then they will be. Are there any other questions around the program, anything you've come across or anything else that you're having problems with? All quiet out there still? Okay, well, we'll wrap it up at that point. Yeah, Martin, is there going to be a scroll down on the side of the lists of watch lists? There certainly will be. At this point, covered before, this is, as the watch lists get longer, they can disappear off the screen depending how time you are there. So as you go down, you can obviously drag it down to see the watch list. But what if you get 30 watch lists? You run out of room on your screen. So what we've developed is this tool here, which is a scroll bar. Now I've got it available on my machine at the moment, and we've just been testing it. And it allows you to scroll up and down through the watch lists so that you can actually see what's happening in those watch lists that are at the bottom of the screen. So you don't have to drag your screen down just to see another watch list. You can actually drag the scroll bar down instead. Elizabeth, will there be NASDAQ information available? Question for the technical guys on that one. What have we got in the US? It's not there at the moment, I don't think. Oh no, the NASDAQ index is there, as in the index information is available. Are you referring, Elizabeth, to the box in the NASDAQ or to the index? The index is available in markets. It's a preloaded system watch list, and the index is there. If you want to find other companies that aren't necessarily that if you currently can't access, you've got the quote up here, and the Navigator has the ability to look beyond the Australian Stock Exchange. So you can look further afield for different stocks. So if there was a specific stock that you were looking at on the NASDAQ over-the-counter exchange, which is, I think they call the pink sheets, NASDAQ exchange, NASDAQ there, you could type in the name of the security, click on search, and there's Apple, AAPL. Click on it, and Apple's been added into the watch list. Last price $617. So Elizabeth, they are available there using the Navigator and going in to the exchange, changing the exchange to NASDAQ, typing in the codes there that you're interested in. So the NASDAQ index is in the system watch list. The NASDAQ shares are available through the Navigator. A quick Martin there, the no intraday on the charts for spot gold and spot silver. We do have a problem with the FX not updating correctly. We are aware of that one and we're working to resolve that. So the FX such as spot gold, spot silver is not updating correctly on the intraday charts. It should be dynamic, in other words it should change as they change. The dailies are working okay, but it's the intradays that aren't at the moment, and we are working on rectifying that one. A comment from Martin: when I save the layout and close the program, when I open the program, the charts that were saved never open. Probably the layout will be retained, but the individual charts, probably best bet on that one is to give customer care a call and just work through exactly what you're doing there, because the layout will be retained but the individual charts won't necessarily be retained. So have a chat to customer care about that one, Martin, and see if they can help you out with that one. The VIX or the Russell, the VIX code, I'm not sure what it is in this in here, and I probably best bet is customer care can look up what the code is if you give them a call and find out. It's very likely accessible from the Navigator. The problem is where to find it. Being a number of different exchanges and which one it's actually going to be listed on. That's going to be the challenge within that. So give customer care a call on the VIX and they'll see if they can find you a code for those particular ones. Russell 2000 should be easier. It should be the New York Stock Exchange. New York Exchange. Type in Russell. Search. And Russell 2000 Index, MSU is the code for that one. Double click on it and we can add an MSU across here and add it. Where'd it go? So using the Navigator you can search outside of the standard codes, outside of the ASX, to get other companies. So they are available, or other indexes, they are available, but it's just a matter of using the Navigator to go looking for them. And if you do get stuck on particular ones, certainly give customer care a call and they can do some homework and pick out the correct code for you. Martin, yeah, so the Analyser, we're going to have the company name in it in the future. The company name is added. That's something we are working on in the Analyser so that it shows the name as well as the code. The sorting of the Analyser, not so sure on that one. They'd normally come up in the top 20, above upper band should work. They'll normally come up in the order of the watch list. So if you sort your watch list by code, they'll come up in that order. I'll just wait till it finishes, because it will normally come up in the order of the watch list as it scans the watch list. So if your watch list is sorted alphabetically, it should normally come up alphabetically. But once we've got it there, we can't sort in the list. So that's probably the way around it, is to sort your watch list first, and we scan the My Top 20 watch list. We go back into Market User Watch List, My Top 20, and sort by AMP as first. Go back to the Analyser and calculate. This time, nope, came up in the same order. We'd already run it. Just try my top 20. Just try it again. No, it retains the order. It's not sure what's happening there. It's retaining the order that the watch list. Oh no, yeah, it's retaining the order that the watch list originally was, even though we've changed the order of it. Yeah, it's something we'll have the technical guys to have a look at with the actual order, because it's ordering on the way that shares were added to the watch list, it appears. So we'll put that on the list for the technical team to take a look at. I appreciate the questions and the feedback, because obviously it's a work in progress, this program. We will be improving it as we go. It's very good already. I've found it a lot easier to use and certainly a lot more reliable. And as we go, we'll add in some of the bits that you're missing and the things that you might want. So feedback like this is useful to help us with that development program. So much appreciated. And as said, just to recap on the customer support. Customer support is available from Tuesday and Wednesday nights till late right through April. So if you want to have a chat to anyone at the customer support service, they're available late in the evenings till 9 PM on Tuesdays and Wednesdays for all of April. Just a comment from Wayne, MA6 had an option for analysis of the exchange other than Australia. And we are working on an Analyser options to look to scan initially the entire Australian market, but it's something we can look at for future releases, is scanning other markets. So we are working on that analysis of the entire Australian exchange, but then other exchanges can be looked at as well. Martin, we've got to get a background tint or colour alternate line in Watchlist. The Watchlist does have different coloured lines. So there's a light and then a grey and then a white then a grey down through here. At this stage you can't change the colour scheme. It's white and grey. That's the colour scheme that we're with. It can't actually be changed at this stage. It's an iris thing to be rectified or upgraded in the future. I thought I'd download new programs, but it doesn't seem to have happened. If you're having problems there, Sally, then yeah, definitely get hold of customer support on that one. It's something that you want to give them a call. It may be specific to your computer. The upgrade should happen automatically. So if there's a new upgrade, when you open the program, it pops up and says there's a new upgrade available. Do you want to install it? Say yes, and it will install the new upgrade. In order for it to run successfully in an Apple computer, it needs a virtual Windows environment. So again, probably a call to customer service on that one will help you out and get you up and running with that. So it's something that it needs to be. Martin, the getting comment column in the watch list, so you can comment on each stock, that is being developed at the moment. So we're already working on that one, and so you'll be able to write a comment next to the stock that you're following. So that's certainly something that is underway. Jenny, do we get a list of changes as they happen? When you upgrade, and so when a new release comes out, the first time you open it, a window will come up with the release notes. And the release notes tell you what changes have been made as in this release. So when you first open up a new upgraded version, you'll see the release notes, and that tells you what changes have been made in this change. And these releases are happening fairly frequently, in some cases more than once a week. Typically it was once a week, but in some cases they're more often than that at the moment, as we find things that need to be fixed up. Okay, so we'll wrap it up there. Thank you very much for participating and being part of tonight's presentation. Much appreciated. And again, Tuesday at lunchtime, we'll be taking a look at the watch lists again, but in more detail, sort of an advanced look at some of the tips and tricks that you can do with the watch lists and how you can create watch lists from different areas of the program, which is quite a nice little idea, and importing and exporting watch lists so you can analyze them outside of the program as well, or bring in watch lists from outside as well. So I wish you all successful trading and have a great evening.